Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're looking at teaching pedagogy and the styles and techniques and methods we can use in the classroom to better prepare ourselves for classes, for lessons, for units, and how to conduct and transfer information from us, the teacher, to the student in the most effective way. Now, this video is on unit planning and how I take a unit of study in my curriculum for a subject and break it down and create a unit plan for functional lessons that I can use in the classroom to teach the content. This is the Earth Science Classroom. This unit plan is going to focus on agriculture in environmental science. So this video is going to look at constructing an agricultural unit for environmental science, and there's things you've got to consider. So first, you've got to think about what it's for. Well, it's for agriculture. So looking at food, soil science, we're looking at agriculture, farming practices, traditional versus modern, looking at the transition into the green revolution and looking into various technology advancements, looking at how the population's increased, demand for food's increased. So looking at those core things to consider when looking at or designing a unit plan. Now, this is going to be for a certain length of lesson. Now, your lesson could be a different length of time. So, for example, my lesson is going to be about 55 minutes, and it's a block schedule where one class drops each day in the morning and afternoon. So you got to consider how long the unit's going to take and how many lessons are in that unit, and also can you get through what you want to get through in each lesson to be very discrete. You start, have a middle and a finish on each lesson, so you can start afresh in the following lesson and build on like that. Then you have to consider the strategy. Are you going to do a forwards plan, or are you going to work on a backwards plan? Now, I personally use a backwards plan, and that works for me, but either way, it's going to be fine in terms of planning strategies. So the first step of any unit plan construction, or you are devising this plan of action for your classroom, is what you're going to cover, the content. Obviously, your standards are going to drive the lessons and what topics you're going to cover, and in what depth and detail you're going to cover those contents, and also how it's going to work in a sequential, logical, progressive manner of lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, up to whatever is going to follow on from each other. It's going to lead on to the next topic, next lesson, and for the students, it's going to be a seamless and smooth transition from lesson to lesson, going through the unit, adding on to the information, to the content, to the knowledge from start to finish. So when they get to the end of the unit and they do some sort of assessment, which is summative, maybe a test or a quiz or a project or presentation, they have the correct foundations in the topic and the unit. They understand how you got to those places in the content in order to test on it and have the critical thinking skills. But you have to have a clear, itemized list of all the things you want to cover from start to finish. For example, for agriculture, looking at the basics of soil science and nutrients and soil layers and perhaps soil erosion and weathering, looking at the origins of farming back when the human race was very young in terms of societies and arable farming and manual labor and horses, and the supply for food was very limited and it was local produced food, nothing corporations or business like it is today. And you're looking at things like the green revolution, looking at the biotech, the bio-seeds, looking at how technology changed, the combine harvester and fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and how we had GM crops and BT corn, and now looking at these industrial corporations running and controlling the food industry. Also with the laws in the Congress and Senate, how that influenced food production with the FDA and the USDA. All those topics you can cover in this unit. So once you have your lessons planned out from lesson 1 to whatever you want, for example, mine is 14 lessons, so 1 to 14, what am I going to put and place in each lesson? So am I going to have a single topic for each lesson? Am I going to have multiple lessons for one topic? Depends on the content, depends on the standards, depends on how much time you want to spend on that unit in terms of the content, in terms of how you want to present and teach that content. For example, if you want more labs or more activities or more investigations in a certain part of the unit versus other ones, maybe it's just a case of a traditional lecture at the high school level. And don't forget, I teach high school, so it is a lot more of a mixture between the labs and the discovery and the student-centered versus also the traditional teacher-centered. I do like a good lecture to get across the content, and then the students can use that content adequately to go and investigate labs activities for themselves. Without the content being that foundation, it's hard for them to really just go and discover. That's what my gripe is. A lot of this research now is you need a lot of the content. You need that teacher to have that mastery of content to provide for the students, either as a resource or as a direct instruction at the beginning of the unit. So the third step is to fit in all the different parts of the teaching pedagogy. So looking at the do now questions, the initial activity where the kids walk into the classroom, you should teach bell to bell. So what are they going to do when they walk in? Then consider the main part of the lesson. What are they going to do? They're going to do a review, they're going to do a new topic, they're going to do a ed puzzle or a Kahoot or a note sheet, worksheet, lab activity, you name it. In terms of the length of time it takes, you want groups, individuals, partners, you want a situation where you organize the students a certain way with classroom management, it's up to you. But also you're going to add in when you're going to have a closure question and if and what you're going to ask for that closure question. You're also going to look at the materials you need so you can get ready for the next lesson, so you're not struggling or rushing around the day of trying to get things organized. You know in the future what you're going to have for a certain lab and what you need for materials. Then you're going to add in the assessments. You can do a formative assessment, a smaller assessment, perhaps a discussion or a graded assignment that will just let you know what the kids have learned and understood in the last few lessons. And then the larger assignments, the larger assessments that are graded, the quizzes and the tests, and when you want to place them in the unit and how long you need to give out the study guides to prepare for that test or quiz so the kids are happy and hopefully try and reduce and lower anxiety for any kind of test that's coming up in the unit. And our final step is the completed unit plan, in this case for agriculture. So I have 14 lessons, and this is going to be including all of the breakdown of each lesson, how each lesson is going to combine and work with the following lesson so the students have a logical, seamless progression through the unit so they can add their information, add their knowledge from start to finish. And you have everything planned out in terms of the details, in terms of where you're going to place the do now, where you place the closure questions, the lab activities, which ones are graded, which ones are not graded, and which or where you're going to have the students do all of the classwork and where and how it's going to fit in. So everything is planned out. And this is what it looks like. So we have lesson 1 to 14. We have the labs and the assignments or assessments, the closure questions, and the do now all placed in the unit plan and where they are. And again, this can be moved and juggled based on how fast you get through the lessons. Obviously, everything comes down to being planned, but in the classroom, as you know, if you're a teacher, things aren't always going as planned. You know, there's fire drills, there's students that are absent, there are things that are going to slow down or speed up the lesson based on the students. The kids are understanding that the lesson you can move on or you can add more to a certain level or content or part of the unit where you see fit. If the kids need more practice on certain things or another case study or example to really cement the information or knowledge, then you can do that. But this lesson plan is there as a workable plan, as a backup for you, that you know what's coming in the unit, you know what lessons you're going to teach, you know what you have to get to and cover, because the test is going to be created before the unit plan. You're going to have a test based on the content of that unit plan already finalized. The study guide's already finalized. So you're going to build off that unit plan from the study guide, from the test, so you know that once you cover everything in the unit plan, the test is appropriate and you know that the kids have covered it in class and you've given adequate time for studying and review. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, please subscribe and maybe hit the like button. If you like more on this content, please check out my channel, which has all these videos on earth science.